I paid $2 million to finally become myself. The surgeon smiled at me and said, "Everything is going to be perfect." But when I woke up from anesthesia, I realized he was the one whose heart I broke 10 years ago. And now, he had deliberately destroyed my body. For revenge? Honey, sit down with me, please. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's going to hurt. It's going to make you angry. It's going to break your heart. But I need you to hear it. Every single word. My name is Eve. I'm 55 years old, and this is the story of how I paid $2 million to finally become who I was meant to be, and how the person I trusted most in that moment destroyed me, not by accident, on purpose. For revenge? Baby, let me start from the beginning, because you need to understand how I got here. You need to understand who I was before this happened, and who I became after. Part 1. Who the first was. I was born in 1969, in a small town in Georgia, and from the moment I could talk, I knew something was different about me. I was assigned male at birth. But honey, I never felt like a boy. Never. When I was 5 years old, I remember standing in front of the mirror in my mama's bedroom, wearing her dress. And I felt right. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was seeing myself. But when my daddy walked in and saw me, baby, he lost it. He ripped that dress off me. He called me names I don't even want to repeat. And he told me, "You are a boy. You will always be a boy. And if you ever do this again, I will make sure you regret it." I never touched my mama's dresses again, but I never stopped feeling like a girl. I spent my whole childhood hiding, pretending, playing a role that didn't fit me. I dated girls in high school because that's what boys were supposed to do. I played football because that's what my daddy wanted. I went to church every Sunday and prayed to God to make me normal. But honey, I wasn't broken. I just didn't know it yet. When I turned 18, I left home. I moved to Atlanta, and for the first time in my life, I met people like me. Transgender women who were living their truth, who were happy, who were free. And I thought, maybe I can be free too. Part 2, coming out. It took me until I was 25 to finally say the words out loud. I'm a woman. I was sitting in a support group for transgender people, and when I said those words, I started crying. Because it was the first time I had ever admitted it to anyone, including myself. The people in that room hugged me. They told me I was brave. They told me I was valid. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. I started hormone therapy when I was 26. Estrogen, anti-androgens, all of it. And baby, watching my body change, it was like magic. My skin got softer. My face became more feminine. I started growing breasts. I looked in the mirror, and I finally saw her. I finally saw Eve. But there was still one thing missing. One thing I needed to feel complete. Surgery. Gender-affirming surgery. Bottom surgery. The surgery that would give me the body I was meant to have. But honey, that surgery costs money. A lot of money. And I didn't have it. Part 3. Building my life. So I worked. I worked my ass off, baby. I got a job in tech. I climbed the corporate ladder. I saved every penny I could. And along the way, I dated. I fell in love. I got my heart broken. One of those heartbreaks was a man named Daniel. Now, let me pause here, because Daniel is important to this story. Daniel is the reason everything fell apart. I met Daniel in 2010. I was 41 years old. He was 35, a medical student. Charming, handsome, smart. He told me he loved me. He told me he saw me as a woman. He told me he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me. And I believed him. We dated for 2 years. And honey, those were some of the happiest years of my life. I thought I had found my person. I thought we were going to get married, have a life together. But then, something changed. Daniel started acting distant, cold. He stopped texting me back. He stopped coming over, and one day, I confronted him. I said, "Daniel, what's going on? Did I do something wrong?" And he looked at me. And he said, "Eve, I can't do this anymore." "Do what?" I asked. "This," he said. "Us." I thought I could, but I can't. "Why not?" I whispered. And then he said the words that broke me. He said, "Because you're not a real woman. And I can't keep pretending you are, baby." I felt like someone had ripped my heart out of my chest. I screamed at him. I cried. I begged him to take it back. But he didn't. He just walked out. And I never saw him again. For months after that, I was a mess. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I felt like I wasn't enough. Like I would never be enough. But then, I got angry. I decided that I wasn't going to let his words define me. I wasn't going to let anyone make me feel less than. I was going to get that surgery. I was going to become the woman I was meant to be. And no one was going to stop me. Part 4. The decision. It took me 10 more years, but I finally saved up enough money. $2 million. Most people don't pay that much for gender-affirming surgery. But I wanted the best. I wanted a surgeon who was experienced, who had a good reputation, who would give me the results I deserved. So I did my research. I looked at reviews. I talked to other trans women who had the surgery. And I found him, Dr. Marcus Reeves, a world-renowned surgeon, specializing in gender-affirming procedures, based in Los Angeles, with hundreds of successful surgeries under his belt. His reviews were glowing. His before and after photos were incredible. I booked a consultation. The consultation was in March of 2020. Right before the world shut down, I flew to Los Angeles. I walked into his clinic, and I sat in the waiting room, nervous but excited. When they called my name, I stood up. My hands were shaking. A nurse led me down a hallway, into an office, and she said, "Dr. Reeves will be with you in a moment." I sat down. I looked around the room. At the diplomas on the wall, the awards, the certificates, and then the door opened. And baby, I froze. Because standing in front of me was Daniel. Part 5. The recognition. At first I thought I was seeing things. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But no. It was him. Older, more polished. But it was him. Daniel. My ex, the man who broke my heart, the man who told me I wasn't a real woman. And now, he was standing in front of me. As Dr. Marcus Reeves, he smiled. And he said, "Hello, you must be Eve." I couldn't speak. I just stared at him. He sat down across from me. And he said, "So, you're interested in gender-affirming surgery. Let's talk about your goals." I finally found my voice. "Daniel." His smile didn't falter. "I'm sorry, do we know each other?" "It's me," I whispered. "Eve, we dated 10 years ago." For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. But then, it was gone. He said, "I think you have me confused with someone else. I've never met you before." But I knew it was him. I should have left. I should have walked out of that office right then and there. But honey, I was desperate. I had waited so long for this. I had saved so much money. And he was the best. So I stayed. I told myself that maybe I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe I was just paranoid. And I went through with the consultation. Part 6, the surgery. The surgery was scheduled for June 2020. In the weeks leading up to it, I was nervous, but also excited. This was it. This was the moment I had been waiting for my whole life. I flew back to Los Angeles. I checked into the hospital, and I met with Dr. Reeves one last time before the surgery. He was professional, calm, reassuring. He said, "Eve, I want you to know that you're in good hands. I'm going to take care of you. And when you wake up, you're going to be exactly who you were meant to be." I smiled. I believed him. And then they wheeled me into the operating room. The last thing I remember is the anesthesiologist saying, "Count backwards from 10. I got to 7. And then, nothing. Part 7, waking up. When I woke up, I was in a recovery room. Everything was blurry. I felt groggy, disoriented. A nurse was standing next to me. She smiled and said, "Welcome back, Eve. The surgery went well. Dr. Reeves will be in to see you soon." I nodded. I tried to smile, but something felt wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it. But something didn't feel right. Dr. Reeves came in a few hours later. He was still smiling, still calm. He said, "Eve, everything went perfectly. You're going to need to rest for a few weeks. But I'm very happy with the results." "Can I see?" I asked. "Not yet," he said. "Let's give it some time to heal first. You don't want to look at it before it's ready." I nodded. I trusted him. But baby, I shouldn't have. Part 8, the complications. The first few days after the surgery were rough. Pain, swelling, discomfort, all normal according to the nurses. But after a week, things started to get worse. The pain wasn't going away. The swelling wasn't going down. And I started to notice something was wrong. Very wrong. I called the clinic. I told them I was having complications. They told me to come in immediately. When I got to the clinic, Dr. Reeves examined me. And the look on his face, baby, I'll never forget it. It wasn't concern. It wasn't worry. It was satisfaction. He said, "Eve, I'm afraid there's been a complication. The surgery didn't heal properly. There's significant damage." "What kind of damage?" I asked. He hesitated. And then he said, "Permanent damage. I'm going to need to do a corrective surgery. But even then, I can't guarantee the results will be what you hoped for." I felt my world collapse. "How did this happen?" I whispered. He shrugged. "Sometimes these things happen. Surgery is never without risk." But baby, the way he said it, the tone in his voice, the look in his eyes, I knew he did this on purpose. Part 9, the confrontation. I waited until we were alone, until the nurses left the room, and then I looked at him, and I said, "You did this on purpose, didn't you?" He tilted his head. "I'm sorry?" "You know exactly who I am," I said. "You're Daniel. We dated 10 years ago, and you did this to me because I broke your heart." For a moment, he didn't say anything. And then, he smiled. A cold, cruel smile. And he said, "You're right. I am Daniel. And yes, I did this on purpose. Baby." I couldn't breathe. He continued, "Do you have any idea what you did to me? You made me feel like a fool. You made me question everything about myself. And then you just moved on, like I didn't matter. So you destroyed my body?" I screamed. "You ruined my life? I gave you what you deserved, he said calmly. You wanted to be a woman? Well, now you're nothing. You're broken, just like you broke me. And then, he walked out. Hashtag Part 10, The Aftermath. I spent the next 6 months in hell. I had 3 more surgeries, trying to fix what he had done. But it wasn't enough. The damage was too severe. I was left with chronic pain, infections, scarring, and a body that didn't feel like mine. I tried to sue him, but he covered his tracks well. He had documentation showing that I was informed of the risks, that I signed consent forms, that complications happen. My lawyers told me it would be nearly impossible to prove he did it intentionally. So I gave up. I lost $2 million. I lost my body. I lost my sense of self. And Daniel? He's still practicing, still performing surgeries, still destroying lives. Hashtag Part 11, The Darkness. After everything fell apart, I fell into the darkest place I've ever been. I stopped leaving my apartment. I stopped answering calls. I stopped caring about anything. I would lie in bed for days, staring at the ceiling, wondering why this happened to me, wondering what I did to deserve this. I thought about ending it, more than once. But something stopped me every time. A voice in my head that said, "You're not done yet." One night, I was lying in bed, and I got a message on social media. It was from a woman I didn't know. Her name was Rachel. She said, "I saw your post about Dr. Reeves. I need to talk to you. He did the same thing to me." Baby, my heart stopped. I wrote back immediately, "What do you mean?" And she told me her story. She was a trans woman. She had surgery with Dr. Reeves, and just like me, he botched it. Deliberately. She said she tried to report him, but no one believed her. And then she said, "I found 2 other women. He did it to them too." Hashtag Part 12, The Investigation. That message changed everything. I reached out to Rachel. We met in person, and she introduced me to the other women. Their names were Clara and Jasmine, all of them trans women, all of them victims of Dr. Reeves. And as we shared our stories, a pattern emerged. Dr. Reeves didn't just botch our surgeries for no reason. He targeted us. Women who had rejected him, women who had hurt him in some way. Clara had turned him down when he asked her out. Jasmine had ended their relationship after finding out he was cheating. And me? I had broken his heart 10 years ago. This wasn't just malpractice. This was revenge. We decided to go to the medical board. Together. We filed a formal complaint. We provided evidence, testimonies, medical records. And finally, they listened. Hashtag Part 13, The Hearing. The hearing took place in November 2021. All 4 of us sat in that room, facing Dr. Reeves. He denied everything. He said we were lying, that we were trying to ruin his career. But then, one of the board members asked him a question. She said, "Dr. Reeves, did you have personal relationships with any of these women prior to performing surgery on them?" He hesitated. And in that moment, we knew we had him. The board reviewed his records. They found inconsistencies, patterns, evidence that he had deliberately performed substandard procedures. And in January 2022, they revoked his medical license. He was banned from practicing medicine. Forever. Hashtag Part 14, The Lawsuit. With his license revoked, we filed a civil lawsuit. We sued him for malpractice, emotional distress, and punitive damages. The trial lasted 8 months. Every day, I sat in that courtroom, listening to his lawyers try to defend him, listening to him lie, listening to him play the victim. but the jury saw through it. In September 2022, they found him guilty. He was ordered to pay each of us $5 million in damages. But honey, no amount of money can give me back what I lost. No amount of money can undo the pain, the trauma, the years of suffering. But it was something. It was justice. Hashtag Part 15, Healing. It's been 3 years since the trial ended. I'm 55 now. And I'm still healing. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. I had more surgeries, with a different surgeon, someone I trust, someone who genuinely wanted to help me, and slowly I started to feel like myself again. Not the person I was before the surgery, but someone new, someone stronger. I also started speaking out. I started sharing my story. On social media, at conferences, in interviews. Because I realized that what happened to me wasn't just about me. It was about every trans person who's ever been vulnerable, who's ever trusted someone with their body and had that trust betrayed. And I wanted them to know that they're not alone. Hashtag Part 16, The Other Women. Rachel, Clara, Jasmine and I, we became family. We check in on each other. We support each other. We remind each other that we survived. Rachel is doing better now. She had corrective surgery and she's healing. Clara moved to another state. She's starting over. Jasmine is engaged. She's getting married next year. And me? I'm still here. Still fighting. Still living. Hashtag Part 17, The Lesson. Baby, let me tell you something. This world can be cruel. People can be cruel. There are people out there who will smile in your face and stab you in the back. People who will use your vulnerability against you. People who will destroy you just because they can. But you can't let that stop you from living your truth. You can't let fear control you. Because at the end of the day, the only person who gets to define you is you. Daniel tried to destroy me. He tried to take away my identity, my body, my sense of self. But he didn't win, because I'm still here, and I'm still me. Hashtag Part 18, Forgiveness. People ask me all the time, Eve, have you forgiven him? And honey, I'm going to be real with you. No, I haven't. And I don't know if I ever will. Because forgiveness isn't something you owe someone who hurt you. Forgiveness is something you give when you're ready. If you're ready, and I'm not there yet, maybe I never will be. But I'm okay with that. Because I don't need to forgive him to move forward. I just need to let go of the anger, the bitterness, the need for revenge. And I'm working on that. Every day. Hashtag Part 19, The Message. If you're reading this and you're transgender, I want you to know something. You are valid. You are worthy. You are enough. No matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, your identity is yours. Your body is yours. Your life is yours. And no one has the right to take that away from you. And if someone has hurt you, if someone has betrayed you, if someone has tried to destroy you, know that you can survive this. You can heal. You can rebuild. It won't be easy. It won't be quick. But you can do it. Hashtag Part 20, The Future. I don't know what the future holds for me. I don't know if I'll ever feel completely whole again. But I'm trying. Every day, I'm trying. I'm going to therapy. I'm taking care of my body. I'm surrounding myself with people who love me. And I'm living my truth. Because at the end of the day, that's all any of us can do. Live our truth. And refuse to let anyone take that away from us. Honey, I know this story was hard to hear. I know it was heavy. I know it was painful. But I needed you to hear it. Because stories like mine don't get told enough. And when they don't get told, people think they're alone. But you're not alone. I'm here. Rachel is here. Clara is here. Jasmine is here. We're all here. And we're all fighting. Together. So if you're going through something right now, if you're hurting, if you're scared, please know that you're not alone. Please know that it gets better. Please know that you are loved. And remember, your body is yours. Your identity is yours. Your life is yours. And no one has the right to take that away from you. Revenge might feel good in the moment, but it destroys both the person giving it and the person receiving it. Justice doesn't always look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like survival. You don't have to forgive someone to heal. You just have to let go of the hold they have on you. And baby, you are so much stronger than you think. Even when you feel broken, even when you feel lost, you are still here. And that is everything. Thank you for sitting with me, honey. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Now go live your life. Go be yourself. Go love yourself. And never, ever let anyone make you feel like you're less than. Because you're not. You're perfect. Just as you are. With all my love. Eve,